The alarms scream in the dark tunnels, red lights flash again and again as the ground shakes under Lyra's feet. She runs through the cold steel hallway, her small hands pressed against her ears, trying to block the sound. Her heart beats fast, like it wants to break free from her chest. The echo of explosions fills the air, dust falls from the ceiling. People shout and cry around her, but she sees no faces, only shadows moving fast like ghosts in a storm. She reaches the old storage room where her mother told her to hide. It smells of oil and metal and fear. Crates are stacked high, some broken, some empty. She crawls behind them, her knees scraped, her breath sharp and shaky. Outside someone screams, then silence, then the sound of boots, many boots getting closer, each step loud like thunder. Her mother had warned her so many times. She said, if the humans ever come, run and hide, never let them find you. They lie, they hurt, they destroy. They are not like us, they will not show mercy, they will take you away, and you will never see your home again. Now those words run in her mind like a broken song over and over. She hugs her arms around her chest, trying to make herself small, trying to disappear, her eyes wide and shining with tears. She hears voices speaking in a language she barely understands, cold and sharp and calm. Then the wall behind her cracks, a loud boom, a flash of white. Her ears ring, her head spins. She coughs and tries to move, but her leg is trapped under a crate. She cries out softly, but no one hears her. The room is filled with smoke and the sound of heavy boots entering the doorway. A tall figure walks in wearing black armor, his face hidden behind a dark helmet. He holds a glowing weapon in his hand. He stops when he sees her trapped, alone, broken. Her breath catches in her throat. She freezes, her hands shaking, her lips move, but no sound comes out. Slowly steps closer, the light from his armor casting long shadows across the floor. She wants to scream, to run, to vanish, but her body does not listen. Her mind is full of her mother's voice, whispering fear into her ears again and again. Soldier kneels down near her. She tries to push herself away, but her leg won't move. She winces in pain, and finally her voice breaks through the fear. Please, don't hurt me, she whispers, her voice almost lost in the air. He does not answer, not at first. He just looks at her through the dark glass of his helmet. Then slowly, carefully, he removes it and places it on the ground beside him. She sees his face for the first time, not like she expected, not a monster, not a demon, but a young man with tired eyes and a scar across his cheek. His skin is pale, his hair dark and short. He looks at her not with anger, not with coldness, but with something else, something strange, something soft. He does not reach for her, he does not grab her. He sits on the floor, a few feet away, keeping his hands open and empty, as if to say he means no harm. They sit like that for a long time, the smoke slowly fading, the silence stretching between them like a thin wire ready to break. She watches him, waiting for him to change, for his face to twist into something cruel, but it does not. Speaks gently, his voice low and careful, like he is talking to a wounded animal. He says, I will not hurt you. You are safe now, safe. She thinks, what does that mean here? What does that mean from a human? He moves a little closer, still not touching, still quiet, his eyes never leaving hers. He says again, you are safe, no one will hurt you, I promise. She shakes her head. She does not believe him. She cannot believe him. She was raised to fear him. Her whole life was built on that fear. And yet here, he's not shouting, not shooting, just sitting and waiting. A small tear falls down her cheek. She does not wipe it. She just looks at him, confused, lost, afraid. He looks back and says, I know you are scared. It is okay. I would be scared too. Something cracks inside her, not loud, not painful, just a little break, a small change. She still cannot move. Her leg still hurts. The alarms are still ringing in her ears, but the fear in her chest is not so heavy. Now it is still there, but now there is something else beside it, something new. She does not speak again, but she does not look away either. He stays with her there in the cage of silence, in the ruin of war, in the heart of fear. And something begins to change. Hum of the ship is like a song from another world, low and endless, like the breath of a giant machine. It fills every wall, every floor, every moment with a sound that never sleeps. Lyra sits in the corner of the small room, her knees pulled to her chest, Her arms wrapped around them, her eyes staring at nothing. The walls are smooth, cold silver with lights that blink gently like distant stars. Her skin still carries the dust from her home. Her mind still echoes with the sound of war. There is no lock on the door, but she knows it does not matter. Outside the door, there are humans. Armed, tall, armored strangers who speak words she cannot follow. Their voices rise and fall like waves. Always just beyond the wall. She does not move. She does not cry. She just listens and waits and breathes. Hours pass, or maybe days. She cannot tell. The lights never change. There is no sun here, no moon, no scent of the deep caves of her people, only metal and cold and silence. Then, one day the door opens. She does not look up. She tightens her grip on her knees and waits for the pain to begin, but it does. Notice sound soft and low, a metal tray placed gently on the floor. Something warm, something that smells like food, not her food, not the herbs and roots of the caves, but something new. It smells like earth, like heat, like safety. She cannot name it, but her body remembers hunger. He is there again, the human soldier from the ruins, the one with quiet eyes and slow hands. He does not speak, not at first. He kneels near the tray, keeping his distance like before. No helmet, no weapon. Only his face and his breath, and his silence. He says, "The food is safe." He says, "No one will hurt you here." He says, "My name is Ethan." Then nothing more. He just sits there on the floor, not moving, not pushing, not demanding. Lyra looks at the food, then at him, then away again. She does not touch it, not yet. The next day he comes again. This time he brings a folded blanket, soft gray, simple. He places it near her, then sits again. The food is warm again. The smell pulls at her hunger, like a quiet hand pulling her from the edge. She takes a bite, small, slow, careful. The taste is strange, but not bad. He smiles just a little, not a big smile, just a small one, like a secret. She watches him, not with trust, not yet, but not with fear, like before. Something between the two, something she does not understand. He speaks sometimes short words, soft words. He tells her the ship is safe. He tells her she is not a prisoner, just waiting until the others decide what to do. He tells her about stars that move and change and burn. She listens, not because she trusts him, but because his voice is calm, and calm is rare in her world. One day she asks why, just one word, why. He looks at her like she is more than just a question, like she is something real. He says, "Because you are alive, because I saw fear in your eyes, and I could not be the thing you feared." She does not answer. She turns her head and stares at the wall, but the words stay with her. They echo inside her, like the ship's hum, low and constant. Later he brings something else, a small box with blinking lights, a translator machine. He says it will help her speak and understand. She hesitates, then touches it. Her voice comes out in his language, still her voice, but strange, like a dream. She says, "I do not understand you." He nods and says, "That is okay. We have time." She repeats like it is a word from a forgotten story for the first time. She sees him not as a monster, not as a shadow from her mother's warnings, but as a puzzle, a mystery, a quiet question wrapped in human skin. Still, the fear is there. Still, the walls of her mind are strong. But there is now a crack in the stone, and through that crack light begins to shine. She dreams that night not of fire, not of cages, not of loss, but of stars that whisper, and a voice that does not hurt. When she wakes, the food is there, the blanket is warm, and the door is still unlocked, and Ethan is waiting. Not with chains, not with orders, just with patience, and something else, something like hope. The stars do not blink. Here they shine like cold fire through the long window above her cell. They float in silence, ancient and far away, like secrets older than war. Lyra sits with her back against the wall, her eyes not on the door, not on the tray, not on the man who enters every day, but on the stars, as if they might tell her something she has forgotten. Ethan walks in slower than before, like he is waiting for a storm that may or may not come. He holds no tray, no blanket, no machine, just something small in his hand. A flat screen that glows like soft water. She does not turn, she does not speak, but her eyes shift for a second just to see what he brings. Kneels again, always at the same spot, never closer than needed, never with loudness in his voice or pressure. In his hands just there, like a mountain that does not move, he places the screen on the floor and touches it once, and it comes alive. A picture appears, not of war, not of soldiers, not of machines, but of trees tall and green with yellow light dripping through their leaves. He says, "Earth." She hears the word and does not understand, so he speaks again, slow and soft. "This is my home." He says, "These are the trees where I played when I was a child." She stares at the screen as it changes from trees to water, to birds in the sky, to a house with smoke rising from a chimney, and then to faces with eyes like his one. Old, one small, all smiling, all looking like they do not know what war is. She leans forward just a little, not enough to mean trust, but enough to mean maybe. He watches her eyes, not her mouth, not her body, just her eyes, as if every truth is hiding inside them. She says, "Why do you show me this?" He answers, "Because I want you to know me, not the soldier, not the human, just Mesh." Says, "Why?" He says, "Because you are not what they told me either." She blinks and the screen goes dark again. He does not turn it back on. He lets silence sit between them like a third person, watching, waiting, breathing. She looks at him for the first time, not sideways, not from a shadow, but full in the face. She sees the scar on his cheek, the way it curves like a quiet river. She sees the way his mouth never fully smiles, as if half of him is always somewhere else, maybe with the people in the pictures, maybe in the fire where that scar was born. She says, "You were hurt." He nods and says, "Yes." She says, "In battle?" He says, "Yes." "Did we do that?" He says, "Yes." But he does not say it in anger. He says it like someone who is already forgiven and does not know why. She does not look away this time. The next day he brings a book, not a human book, not one with words she can read, but a small flat screen that shows pictures of creatures, some that fly, some that swim, some that look like dreams. He says, "These live on Earth." She laughs, not loud, not mocking, but surprised, soft like a breath. "You did not expect." She says, "They look like stories from my world." He smiles, this time full, not big but full. He says, "Maybe your world and mine are not so different." She says, "Maybe." They speak more after that, not long words, not deep truths, but little things. She tells him her name. He says it gently once, then again slower, then says it is beautiful. She does not know if he means it, or if it is a human way to be kind, but something in her chest feels warm like a small fire waking after sleep. She asks his name again, just to feel it in her mouth, and when she says Ethan, he nods and says yes, like it is a gift he has waited to give. Pass, and they fall into rhythm, not of trust, not yet, but of something close, of quiet learning. Shows her how to use the screen. She draws a tree with purple leaves. He says it looks like something he would like to see. She says, "Maybe one day you will." She starts to notice small things, how he always leaves the door open, how he always keeps his hands where she can see, how he never brings weapons even though the others carry them like extra limbs. She starts to believe the kindness is not a trick, but the fear never fully leaves. It waits in the corners, in the voice of her mother, in the silence after the door clicks shut, in the memory of fire and smoke and cages. Still, something grows in her like a flower in stone, like a seed under ash. Not love, not yet, not trust, not fully, but the beginning of both, and that is enough for now. The ship moves like a giant whale through black space, quiet and endless with stars like dust floating in the dark sky. Lyra watches them from the long window, where her breath leaves fog on the glass. Her fingers trace the shape of a star. She does not know the name, but it feels familiar behind her. The room is quiet, only the hum of machines and the soft flicker of lights. She has learned the rhythm of this place. The sound of footsteps, the time of meals, the way Ethan always knocks softly before he enters, even when the door is open. Brings stories, small things, picture sounds. Once he brought music, and she did not know what it was, but it made her chest feel full and hollow at the same time, like memory from a life she never lived. She has started to draw again, little things, trees with roots that float, birds with no wings, mountains that cry. She shows them to him, and he smiles, not always with his mouth but with his eyes. But today he is late. She hears voices outside, not Ethan, not gentle, not low, but sharp laughing words she cannot fully understand. She moved closer to the door. It is still slightly open. Just like always, she peers through the crack and sees two men standing near the wall, both in armor, both with weapons. They do not know she is watching. One of them says, "I don't get it. Why is the freak still alive?" The other one laughs and says maybe he's training her like a pet, maybe he wants her for himself. Lyra feels something cold crawl up her spine. The words are not just words. They are knives they cut without touching. The first one says she should be in the lab by now, not in a guest room. She's not a girl. She's an alien. The second one shrugs and says, "Let Ethan have his toy for now. It won't last. Command is changing soon, and we both know what that means." They laugh again, then walk away, boots loud against the floor. Lyra steps back, heart pounding, breath shallow. The door still open, the room still quiet, but the warmth has cracked and something dark is leaking in. When Ethan arrives, she does not speak right away. She just sits in the corner, eyes on the floor, hands gripping her knees. He enters and pauses like he can feel the shift in the air. He says, "Is something wrong?" She says nothing. He kneels and says, "What happened?" She says nothing again, but her voice is tight like rope pulled too far. He waits, then she says, "Do you think I am a freak?" He blinks. The question hits him like a slap. He says, "No, never." She says, "Do you think I am a pet?" He says, "What? Who said that?" She does not answer. She just stares at him with eyes that no longer hold wonder, only questions. Sharp and silent, he stands, walks to the door, closes it fully. This time then sits against. I says, "Tell me what you heard." She tells him not all the words, just enough. His jaw tightens, his hands curl into fists, not at her, never at her. He says, "I am sorry." She says, "Sorry is not protection." He looks at her and says, "I will not let them touch you." She says, "How will you stop them?" He does not have an answer, not one she will believe. Night, she does not sleep. She dreams of cages again, not metal ones, but glass ones where people watch and write and smile while she screams with no sounding. The morning, the lights flicker differently. The air feels colder. The hallway outside has more guards, more noise. The smell of oil and sharp metal hangs like smoke. Ethan does not come at his usual time. When he does come, his face is pale, his movements fast. He says, "You have to pack your things." She says, "I have no things." He says, "Then we go now." He pulls her down the hall, avoiding the main path, using service routes, quiet doors, narrow ladders. She follows without asking, because fear is louder than doubt. They reach a small room near the back of the ship, filled with crates, old equipment, dust and silence. He locks the door behind them. He says, "New orders came in. Someone else is coming. Someone who will not ask. Someone who does not care." She says, "What does that mean?" He says, "It means you are not safe anymore." She looks at him and says, "Were you ever really in control?" He says, "No, but I thought I had time." She says, "So what now?" He looks at her, eyes dark and tired, but still soft, and says, "Now I hide you." And he does not leave that room. He stays there with her as the ship continues to move through space, quiet and endless, but not empty now. The silence feels different, like it is holding its breath, like something is coming. Like the stars are watching. The ship no longer whispers, it growls. The metal walls feel tighter, the air thicker, voices louder, like everything is waking up, hungry and angry. Lyra crouches behind crates, her hands shaking, her breath short, her eyes locked on Ethan, who moves fast and silent, like someone who has done this before. Outside, the small room, guards move like shadows with weapons raised and helmets shining. Their boots hit the floor in rhythm, like a war drum. Ethan turns to her and says, "We go now, not later, not when it's quiet." Now she nods once, then follows his lead through a narrow hatch that smells of old air and dust. The ship groans around them, like it knows they are running, like it wants to trap them in its belly. They crawl through a vent, cold and dark with sharp edges. Lyra's knees scrape, her hands ache, her heart beats louder than her footsteps. She hears voices below, men shouting orders, calling names, her name. New commander has arrived. He does not ask, he does not wait. He takes Lyra, sees his face on a screen for just a moment before Ethan shuts it off. A face like steel, no softness, no light in his eyes, just hunger, the kind that does not stop. Ethan says he runs the experiments, he has done things even his own men whisper About Lyra remembers what the guards said, and now she knows it was not just talk, it was truth waiting to open its mouth. They reach a maintenance corridor, narrow, dim, full of broken wires and leaking pipes. It smells like something old and dying. Ethan checks his small screen. A map line's flashing red. The path behind them is closing. The path ahead is fading. Says we have one shot, one shuttle, one blind route. She says what if we fail? He says we cannot fail. They run now, not crawling, not hiding, running. Through the guts of the ship alarms begin to rise, not red, not loud, but soft like a whisper of death, coming closer. A door slams open. A soldier steps out, sees them, raises his weapon. Ethan moves first, no hesitation, one shot. The soldier falls. Lyra flinches. She has seen death before, but never this close, never for her. Ethan grabs her hand, not to lead her like a master, not to pull her like a child, but to hold her like someone who cannot lose her. She runs beside him, not behind, not away. They reach the bay. The escape shuttle is waiting, small, old, not built for speed, but maybe for hope. Maybe that is enough. But someone is already there. Two guards, guns ready, faces hidden. Ethan steps forward, says, "We are leaving." The guards laugh, say, "You are not in charge anymore." They raise their weapons. Lyra steps forward and speaks. Her voice cuts through the noise, clear and sharp. She says, "If you shoot me, what will you tell the commander? If you break the only sample he wants, if you ruin his prize?" The guards pause. Ethan fires first again, one down. Then the second shot misses. The guard falls, but not before shooting back. The beam hits Ethan's side. He drops with a sound like the air being punched. Lyra screams, no voice, no words, just sound. She pulls him into the shuttle, hands shaking, blood warm on her fingers. She does not know how to fly. She does not care. She touches the buttons. The lights blink. The engine roars. The door closes. The ship screams. Alarms flare. The monsters are coming, but she is already gone. The stars rush past the window, not soft, not gentle, but wild and alive like fire. Ethan lies beside her, breathing slow, his eyes open, just a little. He smiles. "Has told you we couldn't fail." She presses her forehead to his hand. She whispers, "You didn't." For the first time, she is not running from monsters. She is running towards something. She does not know what, but it is hers. The wind here is real. It moves through her hair like fingers made of air, soft and curious. It carries the smell of trees and soil, and something new, something clean. Lyra stands outside for the first time in her life. The sky above her, wide and blue, not the metal ceiling of a ship, not the broken stone of her homeworld, but something open, endless. She blinks at the sun, her eyes watering from light, not fire, and her feet touch grass, soft, strange green. Her toes curl into it, as if testing if it will vanish like a dream. Ethan lies inside the shelter, small and quiet, hidden under earth and wood and silence. His wound is healing, but slow. He sleeps more than he wakes. Sometimes he whispers her name, not from fear, not from pain, but like a question he needs to know is still there. The people here are not soldiers, not scientists, not commanders. They are others. A doctor with gray hair and soft hands who asks nothing, just listens. A boy with missing teeth who shows her how to throw stones into the stream and laughs when he misses. A woman who plants food in long rows and sings to the dirt as if it can hear her. No one stares. No one calls her alien. No one locks doors. No one touches her unless she nods. It is not what she expected. It frightens her more than the guns, because kindness is a harder thing to survive. She walks through the trees, sometimes alone, sometimes with the boy who carries a stick and calls it his sword. They speak in broken words, half laughter, half silence. He asks her, "Do you have trees where you come from?" She says yes, but they glow. He says that is cool. She smiles, small and short, like a flicker of light and shadow at night. She watches Ethan, his chest rising slow, his face quiet, his hand always resting on the blanket she gave him from the ship. He has not asked why she stayed. He has not asked if she wants to leave. He just breathes and lets her choose. One day she hears a voice from the woods, sharp, quiet, not from the village, not from safety. A whisper between trees. Crouches, low eyes scanning, ears open. The whisper comes again, then silence. She does not follow it. She walks back to the shelter, slow, steady, heart tight. She tells the doctor, and the doctor tells the woman, and the woman locks the tools away, and the boy is told to stay. Inside, no one panics, but everyone becomes still. Later, Ethan wakes fully, eyes clear, voice soft. He asks what happened. She tells him, and he nods once, no fear, just understanding. He says they are looking for us. She says, I know. He says, we cannot run forever. She says, I am tired of running. Sit together under the roof of the shelter, the wind brushing through the open window, the sound of insects and birds filling the quiet like music. She looks at him and says, I used to think you were the only human worth trusting. He says, and now she says, I don't know. He nods again, not hurt, not proud, just listening. She says, they are kind here, but I still feel like I am outside. He says, maybe kindness is not the same as belonging. She says, maybe it is enough for now. He leans back, eyes on the sky. Through the broken ceiling, the stars just starting to appear, the kind that do not scream or chase or burn. She does not touch him, but she does not move away either. The boy runs in later, holding a flower, says it is for her. She takes it, surprised. Says, what is this for? He says, because you look sad sometimes, and I think flowers help. She does not know how to answer, so she just holds the flower and stays, not because she is safe, but because for the first time she is choosing to stay. Please don't hurt him, and it will be more unique than all before. This is where everything turns, not just for Lyra, but for the entire meaning of what it means to be human. The title comes full circle, but this time, it is not Lyra begging for herself. She has changed, and this time she stands stone, emotional, epic, intimate, full of meaning. Style, third person. Simple English, no full stops. Pure immersion, you feel it, not just read it. Part 7. Please don't hurt him, 800 words. No full stops, emotional. Climax plus HFY heartbeat. They come at dawn, not fast, but quiet, like shadows, like smoke. They move through the trees, black suits, pale faces, eyes like cold fire. The kind that does not burn, it freezes. Lyra sees them before the others do. She knows what they are before they speak. She feels it in her skin, in her teeth, in her bones. The commander steps forward, his boots clean, his voice calm like a doctor in a dream. He says, return the asset. He does not say please. He does not say her name. Ethan stands behind her, still weak, still limping, but standing with a weapon not raised, just held. The village is silent. The boy hides behind the doctor. The woman with the garden holds a spade like a sword. The air is tight. The wind stops the birds. Go quiet. Lyra steps forward. She does not hide. She does not shake. She says, I am not your asset. The commander looks at her and says, you are not human. She says, maybe that is why I see more than you do. He nods slow and says, you are dangerous now. She says, only to people like you. He lifts his hand and soldiers move. They do not shoot, not yet. They surround Ethan. They grab his arms, twist them back. He drops the weapon with a sound like bone on stone. Lyra moves, but not fast enough. They push him down, knees on his spine. He grits his teeth, does not scream. The commander says, maybe you care about him. Maybe that is our way. And she says, please don't hurt him. The words fall from her lips, not like fear, not like begging, but like thunder wrapped in glass. Everyone hears it. Boy looks up. The doctor steps forward. The woman with the spade raises it higher. The soldiers hesitate because her voice is not small anymore. It fills the air like fire, like light, like truth. The commander steps closer, says, you think they will fight for you? You think this world is yours? She says no. She says it belongs to those who choose not to hurt. The commander raises his hand again, but this time someone else moves first. Doctor pulls a hidden weapon from under her coat, fires once, a sharp sound, then chaos. The woman throws the spade. Boy screams and runs to Lyra. Ethan rolls and grabs one soldier's arm, pulls him down. Lyra moves like wind, like storm, no longer frozen, no longer caged. She kicks one soldier back, grabs Ethan, pulls him to his feet. She says, we are not theirs. Nods, breathless, bleeding, but alive. The villagers fight. Not like warriors, but like people who know home is worth bleeding for. It does not last long. The soldiers fall back. The commander stares at her with something new in his eyes, not anger, not hate, not control, confusion. He says, you were designed to fear. She says, maybe your mistake was thinking we could not unlearn. He steps back, fades into the forest, his shadow breaking under sunlight. Lyra does not follow. She turns to Ethan, helps him walk back to the shelter. The boy runs beside them, not afraid at the door. Ethan says, you stood for Mesh, says you once held me when I could not stand. He smiles just a little, mouth torn, eyes bright. She says, I think I am human in ways they forgot how to be. He says, I know. They sit again in the same place, the roof still cracked, the stars beginning to rise. Lyra looks at them and says, maybe now I can give them a name. Ethan leans back, says, what will you call them? She says, Hope. Boy laughs in the corner, and the world feels wide again. Not perfect, not safe, not easy, but free. And in freedom she whispers one last time, please don't hurt him, but not to the enemy, to the stars, to the wind, to the future.